Am I the jerk for telling my wife that my life would be better without her? My wife, Anne, and I have been married for 13 years. I am 43, she is 46. We do not have children. When we first began dating, nobody could make me happy like Anne. She always seemed to know exactly the right thing to say to me when I was down. But over the past decade or so, she has really started to show her true colors. And a lot of what her ex husband said to me about her has begun to make more sense. For example, I have a very high stress job. People bring me problems and I fix those problems. But when I get home, 9 times out of 10, Anne just has more problems to throw onto my plate. She doesn't work, so she's free to do anything she wants to solve said problems during the day. But lately, she has even begun making lists of things that she wants me to do after I work all day. I can start to feel a sense of resentment already building. But my biggest issue with Anne is that I can't ever really open up to her about anything. When I talk about something bad that happened to me, she'll either try to one up me or agree with the person who wronged me. That's a major red flag. She needs to be able to listen. But last Friday, I had a horrible day. There was an enormous problem at work that basically all fell on my shoulders to solve. When I was crossing the street after work, I had a green signal and a bicycle blew through the red and side clipped me. The cyclist yelled expletives at me and then rode away. I thought about calling the police because it was technically a hit and run, but there was probably nothing they could do. When I got home, desperate, I talked to Anne about what happened. She listened and then immediately took the cyclist's side, which is ridiculous. I reiterated that the cyclist ran through a red light, to which she responded that cyclists aren't obligated to stop, which is bullshit. That is not true. When I told her she was wrong, see, the writer of this agrees. When I told her she was wrong and tried to put the issue to rest, she began frantically Googling laws. She found that in our state, they can treat lights like stop signs. She began triumphantly repeating the law to me loudly, word for word, getting louder when I kept trying to tell her that I wasn't interested. At the end of her spiel, she gave me this incredibly arrogant look as if she was right. I just stared at her for a second and said that my life would be better without her. She got incredibly upset, shrieked at me until her voice was hoarse, and then packed a bag and left with her parents. She has texted me all weekend demanding an apology, but I haven't responded. Did I do something unforgivable here? Personally, in my opinion, this isn't the main issue. This has been building up for very obviously years at this point. You can't constantly have somebody never listening to your problems, always trying to one up you, and immediately just piling more onto your plate. They are making your life worse. And usually in a equal, solid, healthy couple, you two try to boost each other up variously. There's going to be times where nobody wants to hear the other person complain, sure, but for it to never, ever be the other way around is really rough. And one of the very first comments here also supports what I was immediately thinking. Even if she was technically right that they shouldn't stop at a stoplight like it's a stoplight, the cyclist still should have stopped like it was a stop sign. So therefore, you shouldn't have gotten clipped in the first place. It was kind of, you were right more than her, technically. But there's actually an update to this one. So here's the update. 2 weeks ago, I had an argument with my wife, Anne. This argument stemmed from Anne's incessant need to contradict me and everything I say. And I can feel that the resentment had been building for those 2 weeks. Anne left in a fit of rage to stay with her parents and then kept spamming me with texts demanding an apology. A few days after Anne left, I felt something I hadn't in a long time at home. Peace. I didn't have someone nagging me about literally everything I did. I didn't have to eat my meals in the correct order. Something about pH balance that she probably saw from some brain rot creator on TikTok. That is already super ridiculous. And it sounds like some social media BS that somebody saw one time and took it to heart. But anyways, I didn't have to wash my feet after getting home. I could actually enjoy myself. All right, I understand taking your shoes off when you get home, but like washing your feet, unless you're maybe in another country where you're always wearing sandals or something, like that's kind of an extreme. I could actually enjoy myself, which is impossible when Anne is around because I found many years ago that she tends to get the most aggressive when I seem like I'm either in a very good or very bad mood. Then she just wants to like drive it home. I then did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to her ex. He was more than eager to talk about Anne and her shenanigans, so we met up for drinks. He and I both had near identical experiences with her. Anne is through and through a pretty horrible person, especially to her romantic partners. He cited irreconcilable differences for divorcing her, where it was no specific event, but just a long list of terrible interactions and coming to the realization that he detested her as a person. And I'm kind of understanding why. Granted, this was a little one sided, but if somebody's constantly hammering at you, it's going to chip away at you over time. During this time, Anne went silent on me. I used this lull in our relationship to visit a lawyer who told me that due to the nature of the laws in our state and the fact that Anne is able bodied and educated, the chance of me ever having to pay alimony is basically zero. That is rare to see. Um, that is very lucky. I called Anne at this point. She, for some reason, still expected an apology. I told her that I wanted a divorce. She threatened to take everything from me. I said she could try, but any further contact should be done through my lawyer. Smart way to do it. I'm fully happy to split our assets fairly. I'm fairly sure Anne will agree to any deal that gives her more than half. It's just the way she is, because she sounds kind of vindictive. And if it's a 55-45 split, I don't care. All I have to do is act like she got the better of me and she's an idiot. She'll happily agree. I feel like this guy is so satisfied with being out of this situation. It probably feels like 1,000 pounds lighter. Thanks to everyone who responded in the last post with advice. Tons of you suggested divorce, which I think was actually what got me to consider it seriously. Honestly, when you post like this on Reddit or other forums, sometimes it can be a bit of an echo chamber. But sometimes having an impartial voice to tell you this is a crap situation, you sound miserable, probably start thinking about getting out of it. That's when it can suddenly like click in your head that, oh, this sucks. I should get out of here. Like, this is a terrible person to be with. I've seen this on more than one occasion with my friends, with people that I've dated in the past. And in general, it just chips away at you and you become just a hollow shell of your former self. I was in a relationship that was pretty bad at one point, and I remember going to a friend of mine and he looked at me and just said, you know, you haven't seemed happy in a long time. And it just like rang so true. And the second the relationship was over, it was like he was just like, "Oh my God, you seem like the old person that I knew. You seem like your old self. You seem so much just happier. I'm happy you got out of that." And hearing it from other people to reaffirm that you need to get out of a bad situation, sometimes it takes a lot of guts, and sometimes it takes just that initial helping start. The fact that she left on her own is a godsend at this point. Like, it gave this person the chance to really have a clear head and realize how amazing life can be without them just constantly chipping away. But this person is not the jerk for speaking the truth. In fact, they're lucky that they wound up speaking the truth.